Hey, all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Friday, March 12th, and this is episode 250 of the Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side, the wonderful, the lovely...
Who's that?
Buscemi.
Hey, guys.
No, that's our cat.
Avi Ale here. How you doing?
Good, Avi. How about yourself?
I'm lovely.
And wonderful. Thank you for being here, as always. I hope you've all had a good couple weeks since our last show. Not a lot has happened in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. We had that big announcement for Endwalker a little while ago, some interviews after that, and now we're kind of in that wait mode where we're just waiting for more info to come from Square Enix.
I mean, I was still in wait mode after that announcement. I never left wait mode.
Yeah, she didn't leave her chair. She was just like sitting there waiting. Okay, I'm waiting for hairstyles.
Waiting for an announcement here that I care about.
Waiting for the hairstyles.
No,
I'm waiting for the
I'm
extra
not that
genders.
Salty. I'm not that salty. It's just funny. I'm just being silly. I'm not that salty.
But even though there's not that much information from Square Enix, that doesn't mean we're not going to have anything to talk about tonight. We've got a little bit of news, but I also have a little segment of ethics for Final Fantasy XIV, talking about ethical beliefs of characters in Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm giving you a little bit of time to marinate, think about that. If you think of any situations where characters in 14 have been put in an interesting ethical dilemma, I'd like to hear from you. So call in or put it in chat. Because Yoshida's in the last few interviews we've been mentioning is always talking about like wanting to create a gray area in the story, and I'm gonna posit that to you guys. Do you believe that? Have they done a good job of that?
Successful at that?
Have they been successful at that?
Yeah.
So I'd love to have a call-in. Don't forget, you can do that. Just join the Discord, hop in the On Deck channel, and we'll bring you into live on air to see what you have to say. Maybe we have an ethics professor who listens to us and they want to chime in. Do you think that's likely, Avi?
No, I don't.
We do have a professor that listens. I know that, but he calls himself Bad Professor, so maybe not ethics, or maybe ethics just has bad ethics. I don't know. But yeah, we're talking about ethics tonight. So if you want to call in, go for it. Also, it's the first episode of the month, which means the community roundup is open to all of you. So maybe you can do a better job than I did since I forgot it last week. So call in if you have...
it was a time-sensitive one.
Yeah, it was a time-sensitive one. So I was like, oh,
what?
I guess I fucked that up. So call in if you have a project you want to plug, a resource you want us to know about, or whatever you have Final Fantasy XIV related. Plug a friend's project if you want. Even if you have your own podcast, call in during the community roundup to plug it. We love other podcasts and love supporting others in the community, so go ahead and call in. Speaking of listeners, Avi, we like to shout out all of our subs, and we used to do this weekly and do all the recurring subs on the first of the month, but now that we've gone bi-weekly, I think we'll do all the subs on the first of the month.
Okay.
That should also ensure that I don't miss anyone.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I think that makes a lot more sense.
And I don't think it's fun for people to listen to unless they're subscribers. So I think that's a good idea to have it be every third episode ish.
Oh, I think people love it. I think this might be their favorite segment.
Oh, so we should just read names off for an entire podcast and be done?
Maybe some people don't like listening to it, but it's not that many. So I think once a month is a good time to do it. First time subs, Bane75, Tibetan Salts.
The best part is you trying to pronounce the names.
Doctor of Deliciousness, fuck yeah. Arianda and Lazada, all first time subs. For 3 months, we have Gray Honey Badger, Requiem, B Hipster, and Cyrax the Red. 4 months we have Fuji Fudo, Moojack, Von 114, and then Chili. That sound was Chili gifting a sub to Canadian Mountain Man, and Chili's now gifted 31 subs in the channel.
Such a generous little Lalafell.
Crazy. For 5 months, we have Philibert, Lilibert, and Trey Lands Gaming. 6 months, we have Maximilian's FFXIV. 8 months, we have Zalbag 8, Fenris Wolfbane. 9 months, we have Demikase 86 and Spookatron. 10 months, we have Phoenix 0220 and Larosia. 11 months, Esper Eidolon, Batkiddo 1, and Exterminate. At 1 year, we have Ivory Mist and Satyr's Eagle's Claw. 13 months, we have Unlucky Assassin and Adeline. 14 months, Crow 623 and Susan Sprinkle. 16 months, we have Agitated Salamander, Disco Cub. 18 months, Ursa Laser. I'm losing it already, Avi. And Mieko FF14, 19 months, Raw Chicken Baguette, Avi's favorite name. And Voxina 7, 20 months, King of Noko, Sweezy 50 with that tier 3 sub. Insane. 27 months, Hyper Pixie Gaming and Broly 489. 28 months, Shinter. 34 months, KK McLeod. 38 months, Aurori. 38 months, Aja 30. 42 for Sorceress 180. And at 43 months, the Real Hot Chili Pepper. That's insane numbers right there. The 43, the 42.
We appreciate you
Chili,
so
you can't
much.
lapse. Sorceress going to pass you.
Yeah, it's a tight race, I guess, huh?
Thank you all so much. You are the real reason we keep doing this. We love hanging out with you. We love playing with you. So thank you all so much. Now we get to everyone's favorite segment.
Greenleaf Minute.
Let's stretch it out, baby.
No, I felt like I had to shorten it and make it less because you made the intro so much.
People will be mad. Say it right.
Greenleaf Minute.
There you go. It's the Greenleaf Minute. And this week I found a question on Reddit.
Oh, no, don't do that. Why would you do that? You should know better than to do that. That is bad. Don't do Final Fantasy 14 Reddit.
Hey,
just don't.
Reddit's decent for questions.
Just ignore all the answers.
People, yeah, that might be a good rule of hand, rule of law.
thumb.
I don't know. But people, that start playing will go to 14. Like I've said before, the best part of the Final Fantasy 14 Reddit is the daily thread where everyone just like asks their question.
So the Greenleaf Minute of today, I think Chili's got it right. Greenleaf Minute. Ignore the answers on Reddit.
Exactly. That's it for the show tonight.
Done.
Thank you for joining us.
Doesn't get any better than that.
But the question was, is there any point to improving / maxing out your eye level if you don't do Savage rating since everything is synced?
Yes.
All right. I think you just saw my answer and said yes, but do you have any opinion on that yourself?
Well, I don't think you need to max out your eye level, but I do think it makes sense for you to have as high an eye level as is achievable for the way you like to play the game. So if the way you like to play the game is the highest gear you get is tome gear, then yes, put your effort in and get the highest gear that you can get to the style of the game you want to play. If you're not going to do Savage rating, then why are you going to try to get Savage rating eye level gear? Like, that part doesn't make sense. But I think it's a good idea to like achieve for the best eye level you can on the job you want to main.
I mean, yes. I mean, that makes sense, of course. But like,
What you're saying is you disagree.
But it's like, is there any point? It's like, of course you want to have the best level gear for your character.
The point is, like, say you're doing just like
maybe a better way to phrase this question is like, is there any benefit
to which part then, Pete?
To like improving, maxing out your eye level if you're not going to do Savage?
Well, so wait, but let me just are you saying to get Savage gear if you're not doing, like, or are you just saying to get a good eye level? Yes, the benefit is that even if you're just doing your expert roulette and you have a severely under-geared tank and you are a very well-geared healer, it's not going to be as painful. So by having that better gear, you can compensate for other pieces of the party that are lacking, and so by doing so, have a better dungeon or raid or whatever content you're running experience because you're badass.
I'm really glad I posed it to you that way because I had not thought of that. You can make up for other people's lackings.
Yeah.
If you have
raw chicken baguette goes, healers say yes. I think that's like a healer mentality of, because if the other people in the party are under geared, healers feel it more than anybody else. So I guess more so if one DPS is bad, they're DPSing, they're still having fun in the game, but the other one's like super well geared and super great at their job, it can even out to having like mediocre DPS instead of bad DPS.
I guess to really know, like, we'd have to do a little comparison about like you and your highest level tome gear versus like the crafted gear.
Dude, as a healer, I feel it. I can tell you right now, when dungeons are new and I'm going in crafted gear and I'm not at max eye level, I'm like, fuck, it's gonna die.
But is that because of your gear, or is that because you had a tank that wasn't hitting cooldowns, that was not in great gear themselves?
It could be any combination of those things, which is why you want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible for whatever one of those things are going, or combination of things are going to happen in the party.
I totally agree with you. I'm just saying, like,
you devil's advocating me, bitch.
We don't know 100% like how much it does because we haven't done the testing. Obviously,
well, it's a combination there too. So if you're the healer, and I'm saying I feel it, where I feel that my heals aren't as strong or as potent, but it also could be that tank is not as well geared either, especially if we're talking about a new dungeon. So then it's a combination of the two, and then that makes it much harder on the tank and the healer, and then the DPS, by proxy. So if at least the healer is well geared, then even if you have a tank that makes it hard on you, you can, like, you don't run out of mana, your heals are hitting for more, you can keep up with everything better.
And then even if you're not a healer, occasionally a healer will die in a dungeon on a boss,
or just in general.
If you're the tank and you've got really good gear, you got a little more HP,
pull it.
You can pull a win out on that boss. You can get that last 5% down
really
all
good
on
too.
your own and be
Yeah.
like, who the fuck needs healers? Like
that even and if you are like at that point, I will leave my body dead there so I can watch, because it's like that's actually entertaining for everyone else.
Why
in the
would
party.
you not watch it? That's like the best part.
But if there's so much life, so much life on the boss, I'll just return and come back because it's faster. But if it's close and the tank has been doing pretty well,
I want to see if you're good.
No, it's like I think he can survive this, or she can survive this. Like I'm gonna keep an eye out, and then it's worth waiting a bit. But if I as a healer, exactly how well that tank has been doing, if up until that point, and if I'm like, oh no, there's no chance, I'll just return and then come back. So, but that's so fun when they pull it out. You're just like, no, orgasm.
I guess ultimately, to sum that part up, it's like, yes, you're going to either do more damage as a DPS, you're going to do more healing as a healer, or you're going to have you're going to take less damage as a tank and put out more DPS as a tank with the higher eye level, which is going to help you with extreme trials, 24-man raid, latest dungeon.
Yeah.
Ooh, thank you for that follow.
Well, for example, so I am very casual with the game right now. Really, the only thing I'm doing is raiding. But even so, even if I was playing more, my only focus for putting Savage gear would be on the job I'm playing in Savage content. But I would make a point to put the Tome gear on whatever my secondary job is, so that it can be at least as geared as possible without needing it to have Savage gear. The Savage gear necessity is to do Savage content.
Yeah, you can do Savage in Tome gear.
Right. But the point of it is to make Savage easier, because so the reason you want the better gear in Savage is not that it's unbeatable without the Savage gear, it's that you are then able to make more mistakes. Yeah, you can recover better if someone's DPS is low, if someone dies, and that applies to dungeons and raids and everything, regardless of with your eye level. So if you can have it at least to the max for that, you have more wiggle room if people, are playing while intoxicated, or, you don't know what is happening at the other end of the screen.
Not always, Savage gear isn't always the best either. Sometimes a Tome gear piece upgraded is going to be better.
It's usually a mixture of the two.
But there's no reason not to get an upgraded Tome gear once they add that being able. There's usually a upgrade item you need to upgrade some Tome gear, which you can get from Savage early on, but then they eventually add it on to the 24-man raid if you run them enough.
And
you
there
get
are
turn-in pieces. So there's really no reason to not do that.
Well, and there are many websites out there that will help you, like the Aureliala and stuff, to help you kind of figure out what is the best in slot. But you can also kind of figure out what is the best in slot for the content you want to do by adjusting what gear would be equipped to get yourself the best stats you would want to do for content you actually want to play. Like before I did Savage, I was like, oh yeah, best weapon Savage. Oh, I'm never going to do that. So let me adjust this so that I can make sure the gear that I'm having gets me usually the crit that I want, that makes the most difference, and then that everything else isn't too low and such.
And really quickly, I just want to say, like, Avi just said she's pretty casual right now, but she's doing Savage. People might have a different definition of casual.
I'm only logging in to do Savage.
She's casual in, like, the amount of time she's putting into it.
Yeah.
But she's trying to do the harder content.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people would think going after the relic, playing a long time for a slower upgrade.
No, my long time slower upgrade gear right now is Valheim.
Yeah. So
but I still raid.
She says casual, but she's going for casual Savage.
Casual
not
time allotted.
Casual relic.
That's interesting. I never thought about casual being a different. Well, because I feel guilty. Not as I'm better about my game
casual is
guilt.
not necessarily a time commitment. It's
Oh.
the type of content you're doing, I would say.
All right. Well, I feel like because I'm not putting as much effort into like our free company, and like I don't remember last time I did expert roulette.
I wouldn't say that has to do with casual. That's just like I don't have the time.
Well, it's not that I don't have it; it's that I choose to spend it elsewhere. It's a choice. It is a choice.
It is
because I say that, Pete, because I work full time, I went to school full time, and I know what it's like to not have the time.
I think generally when people talk about playing casually, it's not challenging the highest content.
Okay. Well, then I will try.
In my opinion, if you guys want to tell me otherwise,
no, that's cool. You just need to give me another word, because I don't want to have to say a whole sentence to explain how I play. If I can just have another word, that would be
I'm
cool.
hardcore, but I'm so good at it. I only have to do it for
KK
6
said
hours
the
a
word
week.
is boobs. I play it because of boob. I don't understand that. You know, KK.
KK just wanted to say boobs.
Boobs, or he wanted me to say it. I don't know.
So yeah, ultimately having the higher eye level does help you in like kind of the latest content when you're being synced down, like for like middle tier dungeons or something. Not really. Another thing is if you have the highest eye level possible through like tome gear at the end of an expansion, like in the 5.5 patch per se, it's going to last you longer into the next expansion.
That is true. The newer content won't be as difficult for you.
So you don't necessarily have to pay attention to that for like the 0.1, the 0.2, the 0.3, the 0.4, but when it gets to 0.5, then you want to have the highest level gear. It's going to last you a little bit longer into the 6.0 coming up.
Yep.
So I guess those are the main things. I suppose if you like to parse yourself in content,
parsing, I mean,
and you just want to like see yourself doing big numbers, that's a reason to do it.
Parsing is so if you get bored running dungeons and especially if you're a DPS, excuse me, but like really any job, parsing is actually a way to like challenge yourself. And if you're getting bored doing those expert roulettes and you haven't started parsing is a way to like add another element, as long as you don't, like shame other people or anything. But I love it. Like I had an expert roulette where I was a dancer and there was another dancer, and oh my gosh, it was neck and neck for. Are
you talking about me?
No, I kick your ass every time. But it was neck and neck for another dancer and me, and it's even worse if you're geared better than them and they are like pushing you for your DPS. Ooh, it becomes this completely different experience that you're creating for yourself.
Like when you get done and you have to go to the balance to find out what you did wrong.
Yeah. But it's I'm just saying, so like, because the burnout is real, is that if you haven't given parsing a chance, like in regard only to your personal playing, it does add that extra element of challenge that you can put on yourself. So it's kind of a cool idea. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun to do that too. Like, be like, what's my parse when I have this gear on? What's my parse when I have this gear on? Just to see how much it affects you.
You know what one of my favorite things actually about Savage raiding has been? Is that when we upload our parse logs, and then there's the additional website, FF logs?
Analysis?
The analysis, XIV analysis. and it tells you how, like, mathematically how like efficient you were at your job and where you messed up and how you overused things. But you only get these numbers for this higher
and
level
it's always
content.
like, just press your buttons faster. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
No, my numbers are pretty. Sometimes I try to overweave. So I clip abilities because I try to fit too many in. Like, that's probably my biggest downfall. But like, that's actually really, really cool. Yeah, KK says it tells you why you suck. But I liked that because that kind of feedback for me is a way to like know how to be better at the job. And unfortunately, you can only get that feedback by parsing and by doing Savage content because they don't have it put together for any other content. So if you're a numbers person, that might be a reason to try Savage rating because you get to see the breakdown.
And as I always say, if you're doing extreme trials, really, if you're doing expert roulette, I think most people in this game have the capability of doing Savage. It's just like pushing yourself to actually try. And I know it can be intimidating, but I believe most people in this game have the ability.
Well, no, but I don't. I get the being intimidated by it, but I also get like not everyone wants to do it, and that's fine.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't want to do it, but for those that are scared to do it, it's like as long as you're like, if you parse yourself if you're in a like let's say X roulette, and you're like on par with the other DPS in there, I'm like, most likely you have the ability to do Savage.
Well, it's kind of like one of just like anything that if you do it enough, you'll eventually get it.
Yeah, it's about repetition.
It's just repetition. It's finding a group to continue.
Oh my god, the biggest downfall to Savage raids failing is people dying to mechanics.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is just do mechanics correctly.
Like, even stop DPSing during the part you don't understand so that you don't die.
Yeah. Believe me, I do that. I'd rather be a part of a static that everyone gets gray parses, but we can do mechanics and everyone gets through like way quicker than having people going for purple parses and getting caught by mechanics.
You should not be going for purple parses until you've beat the boss. Like, when you're learning how to beat the fight, your DPS only matters so much. While you're learning the fight, you should be focusing on knowing where to stand and knowing how to do that mechanic. And then once you understand that bit, then you increase your DPS for that portion while you learn the next portion. Like, yes, you're DPSing during it all, but you shouldn't be like trying to do the best DPS, because when I do that, I'm like, I fucking totally missed that mechanic right there, because I was pigeonholed into or tunnel visioned into my rotation, which doesn't help anyone. There
was a tunnel vision point for me last week. I was like fucking tunnel visioning my DPS. I was doing so good
as a tank,
and then even though technically I'm not responsible for callouts at the moment, but I missed a callout.
But you were doing the callouts for that fight.
But I missed a callout and killed everyone.
You had just like stopped doing callouts actually, Pete. And I was like, why has he stopped?
No, this was a different time than that. We have someone else who said they would do the callouts, right. So it's easier for me to.
He did, but that particular fight was when you were still doing them. There was a little bit of alcohol involved.
Last week.
Yeah, I know. There was a little bit of alcohol involved. You died right at the end. We all got too cocky.
Yeah, I mean, I missed a call out.
Okay.
I mean, we can put it to that. I missed it. It was my fault. But yeah, Spookatron says, yeah, and not being drunk or stoned, and I say, how dare you?
No, I say I agree.
You're
wasting other people's time if you show up to raid drunk.
There's a sweet spot. It's like bowling or pool. Sometimes you get a little bit better when you have a little bit in you.
I disagree.
Just not too much.
I think one drink is about all you should have for raid night. I completely disagree with Pete there.
I'm good with like half a dozen.
Yeah, no, you're not though. You're not.
But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about that. There is a difference if you max out your eye level. I don't know if we can accurately quantify how big that difference is right now without actually doing some.
I mean,
testing.
if this is just the Greenleaf minute, Pete, this isn't about quantification. This is about why, and we answered that.
Yeah, just do it.
You don't have to, but it will benefit you, and it will make your run smoother and easier on you and everyone else in the party.
And who doesn't want something smoother and easier? All right, and my Google Notes is freaking out at the moment, but we're about to get into.
Stop trying to use the roll squeal. Now click it and drag it up.
But we're about to tweet of the week. Tweet of the week.
I bought Pete a new gaming mouse, for our anniversary, but he refuses to plug it in because he feels like the mouse he has should still be working. And now
he just bought it.
How many months ago though?
I don't know, 6?
Like long enough that it's not working, and he's so stubborn that his mouse is now not letting him access the webpage.
It just started working. It's the tweet of the week. And this tweet of the week comes from YouTube.
Aww.
And this is from Just Insane, who says, "You guys are criminally underrated as a podcast. Good show."
That's very
I have to say,
sweet.
we've been getting a little more comments from our YouTube videos as well when we post this. So thank you everyone who has been commenting on the videos. I really appreciate it, and I try to respond whenever I can.
It's all him, unless he goes, Avi, you need to respond to that person because they asked for you, and then I will respond.
But guess what? You give me a little sugar, you're gonna get tweet of the week.
So basically just we also like salt. So it either is really salty, really spicy, or really sweet.
Salty about the game though. Unless you're really funny, you can be salty about us. But you got to be funny if you're gonna do it.
Even with spicy, like it should be funny.
My thing just fucked up again.
I'm sorry. It's funny to me because there's literally a brand new mouse sitting on the ground next to you that you are just too stubborn to plug into your PC.
I'm blaming this on Google Chrome.
You could literally grab it out of the box right now, plug it into the front of your your tower, and it would be fine.
Wouldn't work. Every webpage I'm going to is scrolling to the bottom.
It's because of your mouse. Your wife is in IT. She understands how this shit works. Please listen to her.
All right, Abby, I'm going to need you to take us to the next segment.
Oh my god, you're so spaz.
My shit ain't working.
Get the mouse out of the box and I will move on to the podcast.
Move to the next segment. I'll work on it.
There we go. I win. You can unbox it. No, unbox it to the screen while I do it. It's his new Razer Naga. It's his third one that he's had because he'd destroy them.
But my first one lasted for so long.
I know.
Then, like, the second one, not so long.
Not so long. So now it's time.
It hurts my soul to open it.
I paid for it.
I know, but that's like my money.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to move on, but I'm just... Oh, okay. Now it's time for news and notes from around the realm while Pete opens up his new Razer Naga. While he unboxes it live for the third time.
I've got no fucking ports open in my computer, by the way.
You can unplug something. You'll figure it out. And or you can climb on the desk. That'll be fun for everyone too. How do you ruin that many mice? What are you doing to them or with them? He doesn't wash his hands. You can't see the unboxing, Pete. You're a horrible unboxer. That's
got zoomed in.
That's the back of the box.
Like, it's so much fucking better on the front.
He has I thought he had a USB hub. I have a USB hub. I don't know about him. Okay, so he's a dirty boy. I'm reading chat.
You fuckers.
Oh, okay. There are new optional items available. One of which is a new emote called the Wasoi.
Wasoi!
Wasoi! It's we're assuming it's the fan that was used in the celebration during the festival we had with the Namazu Beast Tribe. But I'm reading Pete chat. I can't remember if this emote being used or the fan it uses. Yes, it is. Chili says yes, it is. But if you do like it, then you can pick the emote up like this. You little shaky hands with the fans for $7. And I'm actually shocked that they didn't have 3 different versions of it. One with a pink fan, one with a red fan, one with a yellow fan, just to get extra money out of all of us. But they didn't. The other event I need to open in another chat. Ooh, that is bright. So it's time for the event that always shows up when we're waiting for the next patch, which means we need something to do. So it's time for the Moogle Tomestone Event. Shocker, guys, I know. So this one starts on March 15th. Pete, how's it going over there?
Not good.
Oh my god, it's so fun. Oh, sorry guys. It starts on March 15th and it's going to last all the way until the launch of patch 5.5, which I believe starts on April 13th. So you're going to have about a month to earn as many Moogle Tomestones as you can.
Both are doing the same thing.
Did you unplug the other one?
No. Well, I can't get that shit.
I mean, you can't read the outline. How are you gonna do this?
I've got I've got no ability to get to my outline. So you're just gonna have to set me up, baby. Need some talking points.
My face is hurting.
Fucking deal with it.
So
It's when I'm at my best.
So mad, you guys. Oh, and it's a full sober Pete episode too, isn't it? Oh, he's not happy. Okay, so I can see his monitor just going pew.
Wait.
Pew.
Somehow it might have been fixed.
Are you using the new mouse or the old one?
Old one.
Oh, this
All
is on par with one of the first drunk Pete episodes, and he's sober. It's the my stubborn Pete. This is the stubborn Pete episode.
We're about to grab a bottle. Tell you what.
So if you are a fan of collecting items, then the Moogle Tomestone Event is for you. However, we actually didn't get any unique items this time.
That's fucking the worst part of this.
Yeah, usually you get like a cute little earring or a necklace or something.
The Namazu earring was the last one. And I was like, I don't give a shit about this Namazu earring. But you know what? It's like a unique item. I'm a collector. I'm going to do these events to get those tomestones to get that unique item. And guess what? That's the unique item for this event too. Fucked up again.
So generally the most efficient way to get Moogle Tomestones is to run Praetorium. So that's the fastest for the most tomes. So a lot of people will be, if you need that, the queue for that will be very, very quick. He can't reboot his computer or anything, you guys, because it'll interrupt the podcast. So he's just...
Yeah, I tried just slamming it. Didn't work.
He's just fuming inside.
So how can people make the most amount of tomestones?
I just said that.
Praetorium?
Yeah, Praetorium, you get 10. For 7 tomestones, you do Castra Meridium or the Orobon Monastery.
So Castra Meridium's like the other MSQ rule. Or
yes,
that's
it's
MSQ.
just a shorter one than the Praetorium. Praetorium is longer.
Then Orobon Monastery is one of the 24-man event ones.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that like this particular 24-man raid gets more tomes than another one. Like, because for the Ridorana, you only get 6.
I'm trying to think if like what series that was. Was that the last one? Is that the hardest one? Is that why they made it 7 instead of 6?
Yeah, the lighthouse was after the monastery, but I don't know that it's that much more difficult. I mean, they're both level 70, so I feel like those should be kind of at the same, but whatever. And then on top of that, the Royal City of Rabanasti is 5, so it just like keeps going down. And again, that's also level 70. So
it's just an order of their order,
I suppose so, and assuming difficulty.
And a lot of people are thinking that they're going to make that a requirement for MSQ in the future.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to do that before you can proceed. So
this is them hinting at it.
If you're like listening to this and you're like, man, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do in game right now. I'm taking a break. If you've never done all the 24-man raids, that's something you should be doing.
And that's going to take, so if you haven't done those 3, now is going to be a time where your queue times should be better.
Yeah, a lot better.
So if you are going to do them, now is the time to do them. Otherwise, your wait is going to suck. So, you know that. Anyways, okay. So they grouped the objectives that will give you 3 or 5, which I do not understand, which are basically PvP. That's why they grouped them. PvP, we don't know which ones give you 3 and we don't know which ones give you 5 unless you already know because you haven't memorized, but just queue and it's luck of the draw. You will get 4 irregular tomestones for doing the Aurum Vale because everyone hates it. Keeper of the Lake because people still kind of hate that one too. Wanderer's Palace makes you want to shoot somebody sometimes. And Amdabor Keep is just like, keep going. 3 irregular tombstones for Desimel Darkhold, which honestly still holds a special place in my heart for when you were leveling Black Mage. All you Black Mages out there who remember running to the first group. Like, every group wanted a Black Mage so that you could run and get them all under the crystals and then just AoE the fuck out of them. Now we got a bunch of jobs that can do that. But at the time, that you ran Desimel Darkhold as a group, you got that part, you killed all the mobs, you left, and you went back in. You did it. That's like the closest to like a quick level grind Final Fantasy ever had, and I kind of miss that. It was fun when Black Mage was the AoE king. And it was almost sad when your Black Mage was leveled and you got past that point because there was like never a reason for you to do it again. Like, it was I actually really enjoyed that. So sorry, little nostalgia for me.
I think I figured it out. Is my keyboard. There's the fucking spacebar stuck.
So should I have bought you a keyboard for anniversary?
Yes.
You can buy me a second gift and I'll buy you a keyboard. I got 2 things too. So then you can get a single irregular tombstone for running Alexander, the Fist of the Father, the Cuff of the Father, the Arm of the Father, or the Burden of the Father, all of which are level 60 raids. So yeah, super fun.
Yeah, so I guess I mean, this is great for people. I mean, did you go over the rewards at all?
Nope.
You want to go over those? So the Blissful Kamui 5, that's from Lakshmi.
Yeah, you get the Lakshmi Dago. So if that was like, if there's I do kind of appreciate these for if there was ever a minion or a mount that just eluded you. I had one that was like, God, it was Circus Tower or something ridiculous that like I had the worst luck ever trying to get that drop, that minion, excuse me, goodness. So I got it through Moogle Tomestone Event because I've like literally been playing this game for 5, 6, 7 years. I don't even know how many years, fucking forever, it feels like. And I never ever got that minion, and so this was a way for me to get that minion. So it's kind of a nice way to look at like the Nightmare Whistle. If the Nightmare Whistle is just like, nah bitch, you can never have me, look at my glorious black booty, that sounded bad, you can't have it. You can get the Marcab.
Did we just get canceled?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do because I messed up. You can get the Ultima Horns, which is a cool drop here. The Drake Horn is like an annoying beast tribe to deal with. Same with the Bomb Palaquin, the Elp's Horn, Dire Wolf, like bunch of really cool. The Tyrannosaur Horn, which is Eureka. If you never got that guy, you get it there. I never really did the doggos. That was like part of the game I just didn't really care about. I didn't like them. I felt like they were too small. Or compared to like, the horses were so cool, the falcons were so cool.
We all know my biggest thing is just like abbreviating everything. We had to go from eagles to birds,
and falcons,
horses to ponies,
yeah.
And now we got to go from wolves to dogs. It's one letter, motherfucker.
Obvious a size queen. What did I do? And so, but yeah, so like if you didn't want to do the Blissful Kamui, the doggo whistle is 50 tomestones. You don't like it?
No, I thought I had it, and then like my space button started freaking out again and fucked up the whole outline. Alright, this is gonna be a fucking mess, but let's go.
I mean, Pete, it makes sense that your keyboard's. I had to replace my keyboard. Well, no, I spilled wine on my keyboard, yeah. So I needed to buy a new.
My keyboard's just like fuck you at this
just,
particular moment.
The keyboard.
I'm sure if I reset, it'd be fine.
Pete likes to keep things.
But I can't do that, or else it'd stop the whole stream.
Yeah. Ooh, one thing that is kind of cool actually is you can get the salt and pepper seal for 7.
That's the only one that I wasn't sure if I had or not.
I mean, maybe it's not as expensive as it used to be because I remember that one being hard to get. I haven't looked at the market board in ages, but that one's pretty fucking
Yeah, that's
huge.
Only 7. So you run 1 Praetorium, you're good.
Yeah, get that guy. So, and then there's some more Kestrian rolls. The Mariner Cotton Cloth. I'm not sure what that was actually used for. I feel like that might be like the South Seas shirt and stuff, which that was pretty expensive for a while. So, oh no, this is just the Moonfire stuff. So that's not really worth it. Maybe like for making the beach chairs for the houses, those can get kind of expensive, but all the gear is not really super expensive gear. But yeah, so while Pete is over there angry clicking on his keyboard,
It's ridiculous at the moment.
it's so funny.
You just got to keep on going. Like, I've got nothing. My computer's going insane at the moment.
Don't click in any software that you don't want clicked in.
Yeah.
That will be bad. So
There's a art show that people have only a little while more to apply to.
did you break it? Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that was covered up somehow. Open link. So the Digital Bright Lights Fan Festival 2021 art contest submissions close on March 17th. Which is essentially what they do for fan festivals. So this is like the
We're not
digital
going to go
fan
through everything
festival
again.
art
We did it
contest.
last time, but just reminding you, you only got 5 more days to do it.
So finish that shit up and submit it. Anything else you want me to add?
Nope, that's it for that, Avi. I know I wrote this whole ethics section, but
I get to read it and pretend to be Pete.
okay. God damn it.
Just let me be. You want to sit at my desk? You want to swap desks?
The main point.
We can swap desks.
We can, but the main point of this is Yoshida, in these latest interviews, has been saying he wanted to like blur the line between good and evil, right and wrong, make us question actions, and so I took just a little time. I didn't think about this too long ago, to be honest. So
I've been thinking about it like all week.
If you have anything to add to this, please call in. I don't see anyone on
Especially because Pete doesn't have his outline, so he's like, please help me.
Yeah, things still fucked up.
I will.
Avi, change me spots. God damn it.
Okay, you're gonna have to pull them into Discord too on my computer because we won't be able to do it on your computer. So. Your headband? You want my headphones? I want to wait. Try up.
Okay. This is weird. Fucking weird ass shark ass
Your
mouse.
headphones are like hitting my chin. They're so big.
All right. So, like I said, when we were going over interviews from a couple weeks ago, one of the things Yoshida talked about a lot was wanting to have a gray area. Wanting to blur the line between good and evil, right or wrong. So I started thinking about and finding examples of this, and honestly, not a lot came to mind. You okay over there, Avi?
I can't hear anything in your headphones. They're like off. Not a lot came to mind.
I don't know how you broke them. Not like anything else is working at my fucking station at the moment. What are we doing? He mostly mentioned this during his Shadowbringers interviews. So what choices did we have to make that were ambiguous? You want your drink?
Do you want my drink?
What questions, what ethical dilemmas did we have that influenced our choices? I can't think of any that the Warrior of Light / Darkness in Shadowbringers had for us. But really quickly, to kick off this debate, Avi.
Debate? You think it's going to be a debate?
Yeah, discussion.
Discussion, I think. I see, but debate.
Was it ethical for the Crystal Exarch to soul snatch us to come to the First to bring us there without our knowledge or agreement?
I think consent is the word you're looking for.
Consent.
To him, it was.
Now, in his thinking, how was that ethical?
He needed us to save everyone's lives, essentially save the world. So it was for the greater good.
But everyone in the First, what did he know about the rejoining? where it would kill like all of them.
I don't remember the details on like that. Like you got to give me more warning on. It was literally a greater good situation. From the person who's being pulled over, was not ethical, but from his side, it was. And so once we were pulled over, it's like, yes, okay, I get you need my help, but the fact that his doing that potentially could have killed all of the other scions, like if it had killed all of the other scions, would we be viewing it as the right decision? Even though we saved everyone from the first, we lost all of our friends. Would you then feel like it was the right decision?
So, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like
that's a little gray.
Everything has always worked out.
Well, if it hadn't worked out, it'd be gray.
That's what I'm saying.
But it always works out, and that's what's kind of like, yeah.
If the Crystal Exarch had pulled everyone over, and let's just think of someone who I wouldn't mind dying. Oh, Alphino. Like if Alphino would have died when we all got pulled over, would we feel the same way? Like,
I think I mean this, and you guys. Well, if you've listened to the podcast, you know my opinion. I feel like there's way too much plot armor in this game, and I do think that if one of the scions had died at that point, it would have been a stronger ethical dilemma. We would have actually had that was it worth it feeling, but we didn't. People, they were sick, the scions were sick, they were weak for a while, but now they're all better, so now it's like, oh, the risk was worth it, obviously.
But like I feel like we kind of glossed over that, because it was like,
we definitely did, because no one died.
You brought us all over here, but we are on a time limit. Like our souls are dissipating from our body.
Not ours, everyone else's. Ours was fine the whole time.
The warrior light was fine.
Yeah,
correct.
We were fine. So it's like, psh, psh, like no, but I do think, if Urion J or somebody, like wouldn't have made it back, and also wouldn't have survived on the first. See, that's the difference. I feel like if they had killed someone, they would have made it so that character continued to live on the first. But I think that if when they came back, someone died, someone's soul didn't make it, they should actually die and not continue to live on the first. And I think that it would make for a stronger story, because there would have been some sacrifice to our good, to this. There would have been some repercussions to what was done. But I mean, even freaking, what's his face? My brain just blanked. The guy who brought us over, my brain just stopped working.
Crystal Exarch.
Crystal Exarch, who's now no longer the Crystal Exarch.
Graha.
Yeah, Graha was even saved and came with us. And now he's like little baby Graha again, kind of in a way. And it's like no matter what, everything comes up rosy.
A couple of people say sacrifice Alphino. I feel like I've converted some people. Fuck Alphino.
Honestly, like I have my favorites of who I wouldn't want to die. I just joke. I honestly don't hate Urion J. I just hate his voice.
Yeah.
Not his voice, just the way he uses
way he talks.
Yeah,
the way he talks.
Like it's pompous and it's exhausting, but his character, I mean, his guns are nice. I don't mind looking at that.
It's like, as much as I play an idiot, like I can read. But I fucking hate reading his dialogue.
Yeah, especially if he's streaming. He's like, oh no.
You make me say must, needs, and dots one more time, motherfucker.
Yeah. I actually enjoy the Alphino and LSA banter. I enjoy her picking on him. Her picking on him has made me enjoy him more, because it humanizes him a bit. And if we lost Alphino, we would lose her picking on someone. Ooh, mic bunk. Sorry. So I like that, and I think that's the best part of Alphino, in my opinion. It's getting to see him picked on. So if I lose Urion J, I just lose someone going, "Thouest art thine butt-faced ass face," like the whole time. So I don't mind that.
When we're talking about ethics, though, a lot of people have set ethics. Like, it's, you do not get to control my body, and that's like a cold, hard thing. So a lot of people would say, no, that was not ethical of him to snatch my soul out of my body.
I don't think I don't think there is a clean, easy line for ethics. I think that's the whole point of it. That's why there are degrees in ethics. That's why there is so much talk over ethics, is because it isn't black or white. It isn't light and dark. Huh? See what I did there?
No, but there's always ethics.
No, but they're not simple. They're not clean cut.
And that's kind of the point where I get to this is ethics always have exceptions.
They're telling you to stop looking at me and talking to the mic.
I'm trying. I have to look a whole different way.
Look into the mic, or into the camera. Talk to them, not to me. Yeah, ethics is always point of view.
It's always point of view, But, we can try to determine what kind of ethics they were using. So he was using...
Greater good. His greater good.
Greater good isn't an ethics type, but I know we always throw that around, but it's like consequentialism.
Okay, I haven't done research and like you have on all of this to find out the different types of ethics, and it's not something I've actually taken any college courses or anything on. So, sorry, I'm not going to be able to.
So yeah,
utilitarianism. I'm like, it's just not a specialty of mine.
Yeah, utilitarianism is like a subsection of consequentialism. Let's think about like the main people in this. It's like the Scions, it's the Asians. Those are like the two warring factions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for both of them, their ethics are most closest to supernaturalism, in that they are driven by what they believe is good because their god desires it. They are doing things because Hydaelyn says so. They're doing things because Zodiark says so. We need to save Hydaelyn. We need to redo the joining because Zodiark says so. The Asians have the same ethical system of supernaturalism that Scions do because of Hydaelyn. It's just a different god, and that's where the conflict comes in. The conflict isn't in the ethical system because they're both supernaturalism, but the conflict is that they have a different god.
I mean, that's what caused most wars in the real world as well, is that it's different religions, which essentially is a different god, which is different beliefs, even though most of them actually share the same beliefs, just that they come from a different source, except that in Final Fantasy XIV, in not necessarily all of it, yours EX, we go to the first and everything, it actually is a different god, and we know for a fact it's different gods. I think that's the only part of that actually differs from Earth.
Yeah. And so that's what creates the conflict, even though we have the same ethical system, really. So that's a little bit of gray area, that we share the same ethical system. It's just the different gods that.
But I think that's kind of the thing we've said, is that it's perspective. It's a good villain believes that they're in the right. And if you believe that your god wants you to, what you're doing is right by your god, and then another group of people believe the opposite based off their god, that confrontation is strong because everyone believes they're in the right. Yeah. I mean, have you seen two people arguing who both are 100% believe they're right? Like, that is an intense argument. Yeah. There's no compromise.
And yeah, there's really no winner in that because no one's going to be able to convince the other side.
It's war.
So I talked about consequentialism. That's like when you have to evaluate the consequences of what's going to happen based on your decision. That's another type of ethics consequentialism.
You're making it sound like a freaking college course. You know that, right?
So a utilitarian would say that they're on the side of Hydaelyn. Hydaelyn is right because it creates the most good for the most people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're trying to preserve everything for the people living right now. The Asians are trying to revert stuff, so they're going to have to kill more people to go back to the rejoining.
Stop looking at me.
To get back to what once was. So they're eliminating a bunch of people to get back to what once was, but they're already eliminated. So utilitarianism would say they're on the side of Hydaelyn because it's just the most good for the most people.
Okay.
But the problem with consequentialism is that it depends on trying to predict an outcome.
Right.
So, yes, and very immediately, we know a lot of people are going to die. But if you're going to go beyond that and say, if the Asians succeeded,
mm-hmm.
who knows if we succeeded, we were eventually going to kill a whole bunch of people. Like if we created the nuclear weapon and then we had like a nuclear holocaust and we killed this many more people than if the Asians succeeded. So it's all about trying to predict the outcomes, and there's infinite outcomes.
Right.
So how are you really?
So it's like you're assuming it's the greater good. Is what you're
assuming it's the greater good. You always have some sort of inherent bias. So how are you really going to decide? And I totally get that these gray areas are there if we really stop and like we're forcing us to talk about these things. The game does not force us to talk about these things.
No.
They don't present it as something to talk about, and that's kind of what I wish they would do more.
I agree.
And I think they do this as a purpose.
You mean they do it on purpose?
On purpose.
On purpose. Okay.
It's an MMO. They want everyone to have.
Well, so Peter started kind of talking to me about this, and I still haven't finished it, but I was a huge fan of Witcher 3, and we talked about this a little bit. And one of the most intense personal, like, moral dilemmas I've ever had in a video game was a scene where there's a female character who agrees to be taken hostage so that I can get information from another character. And during this cutscene, I can hear them pulling out her fingernails and torturing her in the room next to me. And every interaction with the guy I'm trying to get information from, I'm given the option to save her or to keep talking. And me being, feminist, strong woman belief sort of person, I mentally go, this female character knew what she was getting into. She chose to sacrifice herself so we can get this information. If I save her, I am lessening her sacrifice, and so I don't want to do that. But every single time she cried, every time she screamed, it like actually physically hurt me. It was hard for me to get through the scene in the game, and I did it, and I realized that my pushing through all of this difficult gray area for me ended up being the right decision in the game. But like, I've never had Final Fantasy morally make me feel like I was making a decision that was difficult. I've always felt like, no matter what, the decision was what the right decision is supposed to be. I've never felt like, I should have done something else. I should have maybe tried something else. Even in it, I never really felt like that, where this, like in that situation, I felt like I was making the wrong decision, to come out at the end that no, I made the right decision. And I think that's the moral ambiguity we want, is not necessarily that the decision doesn't have to be the, wrong, ethically wrong, but you need to question it in the process. And I think it would be really wonderful to have that kind of feeling where you don't know if what you're doing is right. And I don't know that we've ever felt that.
Yeah, and like I was about to get to, I don't know if they want us to ask those questions, because I think a lot of people want to play this game. They want to be the hero, and they don't want to have to think about those questions if they're the good or the bad guy.
This is 14 specifically we're talking about, Sarix. This is a Final Fantasy 14 podcast, so we do keep it specific to 14.
Like, when you're watching a TV show or a movie, when it's another character making those decisions, yes, those questions like pop into your head. You're like, oh, I don't know if they should have done that. Like, there's these implications if they did that. Like, how is that going to affect all these other people?
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, I'm really thinking about how this character's actions affected everything. But I don't know if they want us to think about that.
I think the reason that we're even talking about this and even considering this is because when we were led in, like, kind of when Shadowbringers was presented to us, it was presented of, you are going to become the warrior of darkness. Yeah. I don't know that they explicitly said it, but the presentation of it was that the lines of light and dark were going to become blurred, and we weren't going to know if the decisions we made were going to be the right decisions. And that was very much how it was presented. And that was very much what got me hyped about Shadowbringers. But it ended up being, nothing has actually changed other than the world's interpretation of what is light and what is dark and what is good and what is bad. The role you play is still the same. It's just the people's interpretation of you is different. And that was a bit disappointing.
So yeah, and that's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning. You've had a little time to think about choices we've made, any consequences we might have had. Like, call in if you want to say something different. I'm positing that we haven't had any hard decisions to make as the Warrior of Light. They haven't presented us with any ethical dilemmas. At the very best, they like what I talked about before, that we believe the same ethical system as we're doing right by our god. But other than that, there isn't that much. I think one character stands out a little bit, and that's Xenos. He follows a form of consequentialism, which is hedonism. He's going to do whatever makes himself feel good. So whatever that is, that's the correct ethical choice for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's his belief system. Do you have any objection to that?
No, we talked about this before the podcast, so that is a point I agree with. And also, chat was actually making points that Pete and I because we had a conversation about this before the podcast, and they're making points that we also came to, where this is an MMO, and they tend to focus on a specific story, a specific experience, and so you don't get a lot of personal choice individually, and that's true, and that's why when I brought up The Witcher 3, I wasn't talking about necessarily my choices that I made, but how I felt during the experience. And I would like it if they found a way, even on rails, because it's an on rails game, to kind of at least make you curious, not make you question the direction they have us going. And it's fine if it turns out okay, but it I don't know, it didn't feel.
Yes. And this was like my ultimate conclusion of this is we don't really have choice in this game.
No, we definitely don't have choice. It's fully rails.
And that's by design.
Yes, which is fine. You can tell a good story that way.
So because they don't want us to have to deal with us making a choice that killed people, for instance. They don't want to. We're the hero. They don't want us to have to deal with that.
Right.
But what they can do is have other people in our group make choices, and then we do our head nod. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
That, maybe it doesn't have to kill people, but maybe it really puts people in a bind or something like that.
But there's that degree of separation, so you feel no obligation for what was done.
I mean, we agree with it. So,
but do you personally actually feel like you could still blame that other person for it?
We do, but if we want to agree with it, we should feel that, yeah, we added to that and we decided to go along with it. I don't think they go enough in that direction. Like, if someone would have said, like, hey, we should strip all of Yulmore from their title and possessions, move them out to the slums, move everyone out in the slums in.
Like, just kick them out. Like, they were really vicious about it.
And we just nodded in agreement. Like, yeah, we should do that. And then, like, just transported everyone. It'd be like, that's kind of interesting to me. Like,
or it would have at least been interesting if somebody had proposed that solution and we go, okay.
Yeah, even if we don't agree with it.
We don't agree with that. And then we propose something else. But if there really haven't been a lot of, like, super polarizing opinions from the good side. Like, the good side is always good and the bad side is always bad. The reason people love Emmett Selk is because this was the first time we got to see the human side of it and got to see how his god gave him those beliefs, and that pertained to him believing that what he was doing was right, which is where the ethical dilemma came in, except for the fact that he's like, these people have been dead forever and I want to commit genocide and basically kill everyone for my god. That makes him like, okay, well, according to our god, that's wrong. So no matter what, there's no ethical dilemma for us, but it's more like a third-party perspective of being, okay, I see where he's coming from, but he's still crazy evil. Yeah,
it's like, I understand your position.
I get it.
It's batshit crazy.
It's wrong. It's so wrong, but I really enjoyed watching you like present it. But no, honey, no. Sit down.
Yeah. And I think they've done a good job of that about that. Like, they made Emmett Selk a good character that we cared about, that we listened to. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, his like position was like, yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. You did a good job presenting it. I get it. That doesn't make it right.
But you never made us like have to choose anything.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's partly by design. I think something about an MMO is they don't want us to have different experiences.
Right.
They want everyone that plays it to have the same experience.
We're the same Warrior of Light.
Even though we, like, right now we might have a little bit of difference in dialogue that we can choose, everything eventually goes into the same lane.
I mean, I do think that I'd kind of said to Pete, it'd be kind of cool if you got like a major different dialogue choice like direction based off of the choices you made, because that would actually make me want to make another character so that I could play it again and see how it plays out if I made different decisions, even though it ultimately ends up in the same place, but you got different cutscenes. I get that the development time would be crazy, but I would have multiple characters if I got to see different things from the story. But because I know it'll be the same, I don't personally
and
feel
I
the
really
need to.
do think that's something they should think about, having different choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that they want everyone to have the same experience, but I'm like, that's kind of an old way of thinking for an MMO. Maybe it's time to innovate a little bit.
I don't think that's going to happen in this MMO, simply because Yoshi P says it's a season of television. So each expansion is a series of television, which means it's scripted out, and we're going to play through exactly how it's supposed to be. And that's what's going to happen.
Exactly. And it's
fine. It's not a bad thing. We're just discussing.
It's the problem that we're the main character.
Well, I think problem's a strong word to say there that people are going to push back against. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's a choice.
It's a choice, but like, okay. So for people that have been playing as long as you and I, it's like we're kind of tired of just always being the hero. It's not presenting any sort of bigger theme.
Okay, but you're not gonna like what I have to say in that I don't think people that have been playing this game as long as you and I have are their concern. I think if you've been playing this game for 5+ years, you're either going to continue playing it or you're going to quit. And their intent is to bring in new players and to get new players playing for those 5 years until they burn out and they quit, and we bring new players in. It's easier to keep somebody, but once they get to a certain point with an MMO, burnout is incredibly common.
It's kind of one of those things. It's kind of just like ethics. It's like a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and like.
Well, but we're not their priority. We're already lock, stock. We're in. Like, it's really hard to lose customers like us who have been playing for this long, who have dedicated this much time to the game. They can give us stuff we don't like, and we will keep playing.
We can talk shit about it
because we've dedicated so much time into it.
But I'm just saying, I'm kind of bored of these stories. None of these stories are any different. None of these stories, like what Yoshida has said himself, we're supposed to be thinking like there's a gray area. There's supposed to be blurred lines between right and wrong, good and evil. I would like to see that gray area stronger. Get it.
I would like to see it stronger.
If anything, Shadowbringers has made that line in the sand even greater. And I don't feel like I've never felt in this game any sort of ethical dilemma from what I've done. And it's not like that I'm just blinded by this. Like, if you had our fight with Innocence in Yulmore instead of on top of Mount Golg, and then at the end of that fight we saw Dulia Chai laying there dead as a casualty from our fight, I'd be like, God damn, should we have done this? She's dead.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's have some casualties in this bitch. We're in a fucking war.
You guys, Pete is sounding like me right now, which is kind of funny because, I'm always the one who's...
Hey, we switched seats and this is fucking running up my spine.
I just, the characters are, none of them ever die. And if they do die, they tend to come back, or they're set up in the plot to obviously die. And yeah, like I said, from the beginning of this, I think it would have been a much stronger story if one of the Scions had died when we got back from the first. To again, same sort of a question there. Was it worth it? We lost Y'shtola, which is never going to happen. Don't get mad at me, Twitter, like last time. We lost Y'shtola, but we saved the first. We saved all of these people, but we lost this incredibly important person to us who doesn't get to continue living on the first. Was it worth it? That's I think that's the simplest question that Final Fantasy XIV could add to their plot lines to give you that gray area, is losing characters that are important to us. Once we do something big and something important and go, we lost this person, but we saved all of these people, do I feel that was worth it?
So, should we talk about some people who have made some tough choices?
I mean, you've got a whole... I feel like I'm on rails right now, Pete. So, like, take me on your journey.
One that I didn't even have on my list that I wrote, but I just thought of, was Tesling. So, they set up this expansion.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things we got was spoiler alert, Tesleen dying. She saved a little boy from being transformed by a sin eater.
Consumed. Yeah.
Even though he is still kind of like a zombie. So
I can see your voice drop when you look at me. Look at the screen.
Obviously, her ethics were like, I value this person's life over mine. I'm going to try to save them. Me personally, I'm like, 1 for 1. You're a little kid. I can reproduce. I'm letting you die. I don't know how you feel about that.
I disagree. That's not a 1 for 1. He's got his whole life ahead of him.
But who's to say that kid's any good?
That's not the point. It's like it's not a good or bad
I'd
person.
say that kid might grow into be Hitler. Who knows?
You can't. That's like the oldest like professor trick of the book. Like, oh, but this child. No, you don't know that. That's literally a child. It's innocent.
I'm pretty amazing. Who's to say that kid's gonna be better than me?
Oy. So this makes me feel like you're doing that whole professor bullshit to try to make, and I don't want to do that on the podcast.
I mean, how can you honestly say you know that kid's gonna have a better life than you?
I didn't say better life. I said he's got more time left. He is innocent. He is pure. He's young. He hasn't been exposed to anything yet. But this is not fun podcast content, Pete. This is not Final Fantasy XIV related. This is like completely separate ethics conversations that I was not prepared to have.
I feel like this is part of nature. Like you have a litter of whatever, something attacks you, you let them kill that litter so you can procreate again.
You let them kill that litter? I mean, depends upon what animal you're talking about right now. Humans don't let them kill their babies. Yeah. Humans will fight to save the babies.
Yeah, they will, but you might get killed doing it.
But I'm just saying, they don't just let them.
You're gonna let 2 people get killed, you're done. You run away, you can procreate.
I'm not enjoying this conversation. This is just stupid. This is not our podcast. This is I think you're reaching on this.
All right. Good choice or not, Louis Sois sacrificed himself for the good of many.
I did not play 1.0. So
I mean, we got it in a cutscene.
I saw him die. They presented it in a way that made it appear to be the correct decision.
Yeah, I think ultimately it was a good decision.
I
will say ethically for him, he was part of Charlayan, who was very much out of. They did not believe in war, and they did not want to have any place in taking a side of a war. Louis Sois stepped out of that. He said, "I'm going to fight for the Eorzean Alliance." So that was his ethics. He decided that
as personal.
Yeah, that was his ethics. He said, okay, I'm not going to be a hardliner saying I'm anti-war. I'm not going to pick a side. He picked a side and he fought for that side. So I think that's the big ethical decision for Louis Sois, even more than sacrificing himself for the good of many. It was breaking off from what he was raised as, it's part of Charlayan, not picking a side in a war, not believing in war.
Dying is hard, son. Living is easy.
Gosetsu
Hamilton
had the opportunity to kill Suyu, but Suyu didn't remember any of the things that she had done as Tsukiyomi. So he decided not to ultimately strike her down.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
That was probably one of the more interesting, like, ethical decisions in the game, because we view her as this big evil, but the evil,
it was dissipated.
And also her evilness was, like, essentially done to her. It was almost like she was corrupted. She was damaged because of what other people did to her. And then that damage was essentially taken away. So something that was forced upon her, the situations that had been done to her were taken away. And he was the person who acknowledged that and who realized that. And I would like to believe that I would have made the same decision as Gosetsu, because she was essentially a different person at that point.
She was a different person, but I agree with like how they kind of did it in the story. Like if she was going to remember, if she knew what she did, then she had to be held accountable for her thing.
Yes.
But before that, she could kind of just be like, kind of jail.
Yeah.
Like,
just keep an eye on her.
Off and to the side.
What, Chili?
That was very similar. I can't spoil anything for people, but it's very similar to WandaVision lately with this ship of Theseus. To me, anyway.
I have to stay quiet or he'll keep talking about that.
Merriweb, dealing with the pirates and the kobolds last patch. I think I was very vocal about it. I really enjoyed that.
She was very diplomatic. She was, I think ethics come into play, but I think the way she handled that was with diplomacy. And I like that based upon her role and her history, the direction that they had her character take. To me, it was very logical, and it was the direction I would expect her character to take based upon her previous interactions.
Yeah. So, in the end, I think we can find examples of different type of ethical behaviors, but they're never really applied to us.
Right.
The Warrior of Light.
But I think that's part of that is the MMO aspect of it.
We're never confronted with difficult choices ourselves. We're never left to ponder if what we did was good. They just want us to be happy playing. And that's by design.
Sorry, Pete, I just have to share what Dr. Deliciousness just shared in chat because it's so you. It says, LOL, currently splitting my attention between this and watching my wife's reaction to her first watch through of WandaVision. That is exactly, Pete would I don't know if he'd be able to record a podcast if that was going on.
To be honest, that was kind of what sparked my interest in ethics and Final Fantasy XIV.
He was really into WandaVision.
Because I was thinking about the ethics of WandaVision. I'm like, this bitch needs to be arrested. They can't. But they should at least try.
Spoilers. That's what I mean, but I can't talk about it with him. He'll keep going.
Yeah, I think we kind of got everything I was going for, just in a different order. So I think we're good. The next thing I wanted to talk about, Avi, was I think it's no secret that both you and I are a little bit kind of in stasis on this game. We're not.
Yeah.
Very excited about it.
What? I'm not excited about it?
I still enjoy raiding. You raid because I like raiding.
That's true.
But something that did happen this week was you had someone that you knew from Elder Scrolls Online start playing Final Fantasy XIV.
Okay, so this actually happened yesterday. And this is not even just someone I know from ESO. This is someone I met in Vegas when I went to Vegas, and we split our entrees. He and I became buds. And he's super burnt out on ESO right now, as I am on Final Fantasy XIV. And he messaged me on Twitter and hey, what server are you on? I'm checking out Final Fantasy XIV and I'd like to play on the same server as you. And I was very upfront with him and I said, we're on Gilgamesh, but I'm burnt out right now. I'm really only logging in for raid. My husband, Pete, is logging in much more often than I am. We have a really fun FC. I called it a guild. You do this. Whenever anybody's new to 14 or you're talking about it, you just call it a guild because free company is super confusing. So our guild is small but very supportive and we work with new players, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I log on to, ends up he's on the free trial, but he bought the full game, which is arriving tomorrow. But I logged on to invite him to the FC, which I couldn't do until he gets the full game. But I showed him around the game a little bit, and then I was like, hey, do you want to come see our house? Because we have a large house, and I was just showing him around the house. And then because I play ESO, I know what things you'd be excited to have in 14, just based off of my experiences with the costuming system in ESO versus the glamour system, the mounts versus the mounts in Final Fantasy. And so I was just kind of showing him those things in game, and it got me excited but jealous because he was so amped. He was so hyped. It was so cute. It was he was just that's so cool. He's wait, I want to make a pirate glamour. What kind of minions do you have to go with that? And I was oh, wait, what? And I was showing him things, and I was jealous of the fact that he gets to experience this game for the first time. Which is super sweet and super cute, and I kind of fed off of his excitement, and I also realized it didn't make me want to play the game more, but it made me want to interact with him more in game, and so that was just kind of it was cute, and it was fun showing him the mounts because if you play first freak out was when I showed him glamour plates. So in ESO, to change your outfit, you have to go to basically a market board kind of situation and interact. You can only have 2 outfits kind of waiting. You got to pay gold and stuff. It's not very customizable like ours is. And so I just changed 15 plates in front of him. And I was like, check this out. Bam, 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 bam. And then went outside and showed him the mounts, where in ESO they have like maybe half a dozen base mounts that they reskin. And I went through like the 4-seater like car, to the peacock, to like the gorilla that holds you in his hand, like just to show how different they could all be. And he was like, I gotta give props to Japan. Like, it was funny. It was really great. That was probably the most fun I've had in 14 in a really long time, was that like, yeah, awesomeness overload. It was really sweet. And I'm really excited for him to enjoy 14. Everything he said, he was like, oh, I'm a collector. I'm about to get all these minions and all these mounts. Oh, I'm into crafting.
An amazing game if you're a collector.
Everything he was saying, I was like, you're about to be addicted. Like, this is the game for you. And he was even excited because every game he's played, he had to add a number to the end of his name. And in 14, he was able to get the name he even wanted. Yeah. And he even started as Bard, which is like the job I started as. And it was really fun. So I'm really excited for him to enjoy 14. That was really the highlight for me this week. It was really sweet. So yeah.
And I kind of just wanted to point that out because some people think we're a little bit too negative on the game, and it's like, we're not negative on the game. We think it's a really good game. And I think it happens at about this point every cycle. The 0.4s, the 0.5s. It's like, okay, you did your 0.0 really good. But the 0.1s, the 0.2s, the 0.3s, having to wait so long between patches, we're only getting one dungeon per patch now. This is when it really starts to drag for us.
Well, and also Pete and I've kind of had a conversation. I've actually never played an MMO for more than 2 years. So the fact that I'm playing this game as long as I am, like, the fact that I have salt about it, like, I still care. I'm really scared actually after this next fan fest that I might not care anymore. Like, this is a really long time for me to have played any game, any game. So like, I'm proud of myself for that. So even if I do like get to the point where I don't want to play it anymore, this is a really fucking great run, and it's a really amazing game. Even if you burn out on it, even if you don't want to play it. And this isn't like a goodbye. This is just.
But I'm kind of like, you guys take away some stuff, and some of the stuff you're adding isn't that great.
Well, I think they're not adding enough adventure stuff. They're adding time consumable stuff and taking away more and more adventure. Okay. And I play the game for adventure, so it's hard for me personally.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've really talked about it on the podcast or not, but something we've been playing recently has been Valheim.
We haven't talked about Valheim? Have we not talked about Valheim? I thought we've been talking.
I feel like we might have. I don't feel like we've actually talked about it on the podcast.
No, but we've mentioned it a lot. That was a joke. I was making a joke. Yeah, I say Valheim, I think, in every podcast episode since I started playing Valheim.
We might have mentioned it, but we never really talked about like why we're playing it or anything like that. It's like because there's a new sense of adventure, and like
it's the adventure.
The fact that like when you go somewhere new, like the map automatically unlocks in Final Fantasy XIV. Like I used to love that every time I went to a new part of the map, like having to like go through the whole map to unlock it. I'm like, That's what I do in Valheim. I run around the fucking island that I'm on to
Pete's
unlock the map.
Pete's map looks like a crazy like snaky bug thing. Like it's
like
kind of funny.
Fucking ant farm.
But yeah, I think for me, Valheim is scratching that adventure itch, but also giving me the MMO aspect of playing with my friends, because and it's kind of brilliant in a way because it's very difficult to communicate in the game. So we have to get on Discord. So I'm talking to my friends when we have a private server, and two of my very best friends in the world and I are playing a video game in Discord 3 days a week when we were lucky to do it once a month before Valheim. So I love that I'm getting to like hang out with my friends and explore and adventure and discover new things and like actually avoid the internet because you don't want to be spoiled about the things you're going to discover. Like, I don't know. I miss that in 14. I miss adventuring and exploring and discovering things because even with the new expansions, the discovery is like a moment and then it's open to you.
Yeah. It's almost like I wish I could just like forget everything that I've done so far.
Like I just said, with like a new person, like it's so nice to just see Chili. Sorry, Chili just says, KK, we're her best friends. So I was playing with them. No, they're ladies. Sorry guys, I love you, but you're Pete's best friends. I got girl best friends.
I've had girl best friends too.
Not right now.
But yeah.
But you are Pete's best friend. Don't let him say otherwise. You really are.
But yeah, so if we seem a little bit salty sometimes, it's not that we don't like the game. It's just that we've been playing it for a really long time, and we kind of need something new from them to get us excited about it again.
Shelly and KK are trolling me.
I will always tell new people to the game that it's an amazing game. I think you're going to have a really good time. But if you've been playing it for 7 years, you're probably going to get tired. But I think that's about any fucking game.
That's any MMO. That's why, like I said, when my friend started playing 14, he is at the exact same point with ESO where I am with 14 right now. And I wanted to make sure that I was very honest and upfront with him, not like, you're starting this game that I've been playing forever. Don't assume I'm going to be here because I'm not logging into this game right now. And he was so genuine and like, oh no, I get it. Like, that's totally cool, but you have this community of people I can play with. So down. And I just wanted to make sure that I didn't want to set unreal expectations for Final Fantasy 14 with him or anything like that.
That's why I think last week when we talked about like the the comeback to Eorzea campaign, it's like, that's amazing for the people who just want to play the story.
Yeah.
The story's great.
Yes, it is.
So come back for the story, play that, enjoy yourself. Even if it's like 2 patches in between, you can get that shit done in 4 days or whatever they give you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like one of the most awesome ways you can probably play the game. But yeah, so I think that's kind of just what I wanted to go through for that. Like, we do think the game's really fun for the new player. It's just like, when you get to the end game, you've been doing it for so long, you kind of want something else.
But again, Pete, I think that's any if you've played any MMO for a long period of time.
That's not specific
and
to 14.
I don't think it's a negative aspect on the developers either. I feel like they have their game. That's what they're known for. That's what they make. If you don't want that anymore, then you should play a different game.
True, but at the same time, you can be like, I'm tired of this. If you want me to keep subscribing, innovate.
They try.
And they should keep on trying. Never get comfortable in what you're doing. Always try something new, which is something I probably need to do with this podcast.
What?
Try something new.
This was very new.
This is a little bit new.
Okay.
But we'll see. Yes,
and for people just joining us like Treyland, the reason I'm on this side of the screen is Pete wrote together this whole wonderful write-up on ethics, and then his keyboard stopped working, so he had none of his notes. So I am Vegan Pete tonight. So hi, my name's Vegan Pete.
You should be so lucky.
I don't have a beard. Crazy.
Well, with that being said, I think we should get to the community roundup, partner. And this week, it's a website called saltedxiv.com.
I like the name.
First, credit where credit is due. I learned of this website from a Zeppla video. We've talked about her videos before, so be sure to check her out on YouTube, Zeppla HQ. So if you're going to be able to get a lot of help from saltedxiv.com. They have great guides whether you're just starting out or guides for you for gearing up for endgame. Then they have great resources for Savage. You can click on the Savage fight you're interested in, and then they're going to give you a text guide. They're going to link to the most popular YouTube guides for it. They're going to have macros that you can put so it will show in the party where everyone stands.
Nice.
That's something I'll definitely be looking into next time I have to put up a party finder for one of our groups.
That's usually pretty
funny.
funny.
So I can explain the strats. And most importantly, for people either learning a new job or looking to optimize your rotation, they have job guides and rotations that are really easy to find. So this site can save you a lot of time that you might be like searching on Google for separately. You're like, find me a text guide, Googling a text guide for this fight, Googling a video for this site, and then you can get it all in one place.
That sounds like whoever put that website together put a lot of effort into the data collection. So that's awesome to make the Final Fantasy 14 internet search parameters so much easier in one place. Very cool. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, so that is our community roundup for the day.
Did you say partner?
partner. I did. I did say
Oh,
partner.
I wasn't listening.
And a little bit of listener reaction. We have Doctor of Delicious, who says, new player who just dinged 60 Black Mage, eye level 234. My DPS has always seemed low in raids and dungeons. Is that a function of the other player's higher eye level? Thanks. And I said, you want to make sure that you're doing the correct rotation.
So basically, what you're saying is Dr. Delicious inspired today's Greenleaf Minute.
A little bit.
Thank you.
It will change a lot by the time you reach max level, so know it, but expect it to change a little bit. Then it's to make sure you have the highest eye level gear you can wear. It's a lot of repetition, practice on a training dummy, and get it down. And he said, I'll have to give it a try now that my eye levels jumped from 140 to 234. I'm pretty confident in my rotations as I've been checking guides and practicing on training dummies. Thanks for the response. And then just before we started the episode, Avi, there was an update.
What?
Top DPS Titan Hard a couple days ago on my first clear.
Oh, that's so great.
So I don't think I can claim any credit for this. It seemed like they were doing everything right.
But it's awesome that thank you for giving us the update. That's
just
super cool.
Updated their eye level a bit, but good job, Dr. Delicious, who is in chat right now.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And then KK McLeod says, happy anniversary to Vegan Pete and Aviel, the shittiest couple in Eorzea. And a lot of people also wished us a happy anniversary as well. It was our 4th wedding anniversary.
We've been together for 9 years, though. Almost 10.
It was our 4th wedding anniversary and 9th, going out anniversary.
Together? How about going out? What are you, 16?
Going out together. We're
not going out for 9 years.
We're going steady. Just yesterday. So thank you all for those. Well,
also, KKU is my favorite screenshot actually of Pete and me. I think it's the most telling of the two of us. That was super cute. Thank you.
So thank you all for wishing us a happy anniversary. Really appreciate it.
You guys are awesome.
And we love ya. I think that's all I got since Avi can't look at her outline.
Well, let's see how I can do it. So on that note, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and thank you for everyone following us through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and on YouTube. You really are the reason we keep making episodes. And remember, it would mean a shit ton to us if you tell a friend to follow us or write a review, because I don't remember the words that come next, but I was doing pretty good there. And remember, we're nope, that's wrong.
Remember, wherever you do listen.
It would mean a shit ton to us if you left a rating or a review, or more importantly, tell a friend to check us out. Here with Vegan Pete, I am Avi Ale, and I combined all that together and fucked it up pretty right. Goodbye.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Goodbye.
2 weeks. Goodbye.